Just a quick disclosure to share in conjunction with this podcast. Each of us are speaking to our personal experiences and do not consider ourselves experts and cannot offer medical, therapy, financial, or legal advice. We represent a wide range of experience on the autism spectrum and will always honor each perspective that is brought to our discussions. Our experiences, opinions, and perspectives are all unique and different and will be celebrated. Thank you so much for listening and connecting with us. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Navigating Adult Autism. This is a podcast of 7 moms, and we are voicing our perspectives, opinions, and experience. There are 7 of us. I'm Mary. I'm here with Heather and Dawn and Cynthia, Tara, and Elizabeth. Kara is not here. And we miss you, Kara. Today's topic is hygiene, and it's an important one. And just a reminder that all of our adult children on the spectrum are all over the spectrum in varying degrees, high functioning to low or profound. And we are here to talk about several issues with hygiene and what that entails, because a lot of our children have sensory issues, and tackling hygiene can be, difficult at times, and there's just many facets of it. On the other hand, a lot of them are rule followers, so they are very good at hygiene because they like the rules and they will take a shower every day. They will brush their teeth. But I think it's really important to have good hygiene, well, in general for anyone, but especially for our kids on the spectrum because they are maybe judged or looked upon differently or stand out in different ways. And we certainly don't want hygiene to add to that list. So we're going to start discussing it. And I think I'm going to roll it over to our friend Heather. And let's get started. Heather didn't know that, I don't think, right now. But
okay.
But there's all I don't know, Heather, what do you think? I mean, I think that, do you want to talk about Zachary or?
Sure. So this is Heather, and Zachary is 22, on the profound end of the spectrum. So right now, with him being 22, I still do the same things I did for him when he was little. So, and that's mainly because, the outside world might not understand exactly why, but his fine motor skills are not good. And so he has no real hand strength. So he doesn't use, aside from hygiene, he doesn't use utensils. He can't write with a pen or, you know what I mean? He doesn't do anything that you have to have that grip, that kind of thing for. So the thing about hygiene is that he just doesn't have the motor planning and also then the fine motor skills to do most of it. So if we tried to get him to wash his hair, let's say, he doesn't have enough pressure to actually get anything clean. So, and there's probably, for sure, he doesn't understand the why either. So the connection between, I've got to wash my hair so that my hair looks good and it's clean. I don't know really the why, except we're supposed to do it.
Yeah, right.
Mom says so.
So he doesn't get that either. But so we give him his showers. He did go from a bath to a shower, which is fun. He's much taller than me now, though. So I will say that we have, thank the Lord, that we got a new shower head that I can take off of the. We had a standard. I was getting soaked. It was not pleasant.
No.
So we fixed that, and now it's just a well-oiled machine. So I give the showers, brush his teeth, and then toileting. He goes to the bathroom by himself. He just needs assistance cleaning up. So that part. So I just listen for flushes or lids, or there's always Michael's like, toilet lid, and I'm like,
okay. Yeah.
I question, do you know what a toilet lid means? And he just looks at me. It's like, yeah, that means you got to go figure out what happened with the toilet lid.
That means you have to go.
Yeah. And so that's what I do.
We love you, Michael.
Yes. No, it's fun. We giggle about it, but it's seriously. So I'm trying to think what other hygiene stuff, but combing his hair, I don't know.
Does he give you any signals that he has to go to the bathroom, or he just goes on his own?
No, he goes on his own now. When he was younger, we were on a schedule. But yeah, and he doesn't really have accidents or anything per se. he goes to the bathroom. He just can't. You know, if you think about it, if anyone's ever had like surgery of any sort, just as an adult that can do all that stuff, think about the things that you can't do very well, like when you're in pain and like you can't move. Like that's the best example. Like cleaning yourself up after going to the bathroom is not actually an easy motor planning task.
True.
It takes a lot of stuff to get it
Right.
to get it done. So anyway, but I will say we hope that some of that stuff will emerge. He has at 22, he still has occupational therapy, and they work on hand strength. And so from like right now, we're working on brushing his teeth and then combing his hair are the two things. Neither of those have we gotten down pat, but I will say that my hope is, right, hygiene wise, that I would go ahead and brush his teeth in the morning, like we always do, right? And then at night, if we can get to that point, I'd be kind of neat to have him brush his teeth at night.
Right.
For that practice. And that's kind of what we're doing right now, just trying to figure out. Now, I couldn't let him do that all the time, right? Because his teeth wouldn't get clean. So, you know, you do have to think about, I want him to try, but then also, you know, we don't want a mouthful of cavities or have some sort of issue. So you do have to keep that kind of stuff in mind. So I think there's a mindset where maybe, I don't know what you would call it, but just some negativity about, you know, I wish we weren't in this spot, right? Like kind of denial. I guess it would be denial, right? Mm-hmm. Elizabeth's nodding. Yeah. So I don't stay, like we didn't stay very long in those stages because I would just say, what's best for Zachary right now? And if he can't do it, he can't do it.
Right.
Can we work on it during therapy? Absolutely, we will. But we still need to get the job done. We're his caregivers. And that's what we've got to do. We have to make sure he's well taken care of, which goes back to dignity, which I know, which we're talking about. So like he wouldn't wipe his mouth off if it was dirty after he ate or something. He just has no awareness of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's stuff that other people, you know, that are with him, whether it's us or someone is hanging out with him while I'm at work or what have you. That's the kind of stuff that it's an all day, every day kind of situation, helping him wash his hands.
Does he wash his hands on his own?
He can go through the motions, but again, the pressure of actually getting his hands clean.
Okay.
Like you say rub, and it's just like they're kind of barely touching.
Okay.
So he knows the actions of definitely washing his hands. And we do that, and so does staff that's with him during the day. But you still have to give it an extra little scrub just to make sure, you know, in his case, all the Oreo chocolate is off his fingers. That's pretty much what's on his hands.
And it doesn't bother him to have the Oreos on his fingers sensory-wise?
No, I'm sure there's other people that would bother. Mm-hmm. I don't think he has a ton of sensory in that regard. Okay. Not in our situation, but yeah.
Have you had any problems with staff keeping him clean or?
Yeah. School and staff.
Okay.
I mean, during school, that was difficult. It just kills me. Right. I mean, it's something I just really can't handle. I just think that if that was your kid or your brother or your sister or your mother, would you want them to walk around town with stuff on their face or their nose not wiped if they sneezed do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or a dirty shirt or, right? So,
it's inexcusable.
It really is. I've definitely been let down in that area by people sometimes. Mm-hmm. Certainly family does a great job of that.
Right.
But, it's like they don't kind of think about it. At least in my case, family does a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for everybody. Yeah. But, and I don't know why they don't think about it. Because, it seems obvious to me. Like, if I had chocolate all over my face, I would hope that you guys right now would say, Heather, you've got chocolate all over your face?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if they're paid staff, they should be.
And you guys aren't even paid to tell me that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, if you're caring for somebody who can't care for themselves, then it's up to you to kind of make those kind of ethical decisions. Yeah. That's how I see
it's
them.
It's being a good person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess you just kind of expect the basic stuff, and then when it doesn't happen, I'm a little befuddled by it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So.
And sometimes you try to teach him those things. And I know Nathan, we taught him because he will wipe things off his hands and he would wipe them on his shirt. So we taught him not to wipe on his shirt. So now he wipes it in his hair.
Oh.
So you don't wipe your hands on your clothes. So we'll
What's
walk
the next
around and
best
he's
thing?
got pretzel, the little salt kernels in his hair and all the time because he knows he's listening. He follows the rule and we don't wipe our dirty hands on our clothes.
Right.
So he just wiped it on his hair. So
Does he still now, right now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've tried to undo that. We do those things and we try to teach and sometimes we create more of an issue. But Mary, it was really interesting when you were introducing our topic today. It made me think back to my mother. I had a brother with muscular dystrophy, and she always made sure his hygiene, everything was at a level of perfection when we left the house because she said that having a child with disabilities, that she was under scrutiny. Anything that looked wrong, if his hair, why don't you take care of him? Why don't you take care of him?
Oh, true.
Much more scrutinized than any of the other 4 children. We could go out, with holes in our clothes and one shoe on, and she wouldn't get scrutinized. But if my brother wasn't taken care of, she was,
Interesting.
yeah. So I remember that, her
I can
telling me
understand
that as a child, and it was such a, you can understand. It was such a thought to me. I just thought, how wrong is that? But what else is wrong is one of my biggest dislikes is, I don't know, they call them memes now. I don't know. It's been a dislike for a long time, but the pictures of a caregiver brushing a disabled person's teeth, someone with a disability brushing their teeth, and that being a negative thing. That being, how dare you take away their independence? How dare you not let them learn and grow? And being in the disability field, I still see that to this day. That is kind of the classic. Oh, well, parents need to be teaching more independent skills. But to me, that is so wrong in so many levels, because who suffers if my son has bad oral hygiene? He's not able to tell me he has a toothache. He'll have to be sedated if he has anything more than some just basic looking in his mouth. He had a dental appointment the other day. We go in every 3 months just so we can spend the few minutes, working on any tartar, getting a look in his mouth to make sure, because that is a high priority to me, because he is not going to be able to tell me, what's going on and relay that to me. And lovely girl. I had her name, Audrey. Yes, she was so excited. Yesterday, that was the longest, and he let her put pressure and everything, but she's worked for years to be able to do that. So,
right. And just finding the right dentist alone. I mean, we go through a lot just to find.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm paying out of pocket now for this dentist,
Right.
We've gone through, they no longer provide for our insurance, and then Medicaid doesn't cover it. And, so we, that's what we do.
I have a dental story because when Zion was nonverbal, he had an abscessed tooth, but he could not tell me. I mean, I just saw this huge lump on the side of his cheek. I was like, what is going on? He was just crying all the time. I think he was probably 7, maybe. Well, no, he was 5.
Wow.
No, he was 4, because it was before he was talking to me. He just kept on saying "ow," and actually, I mean, like if we don't keep up with that dental hygiene, he had to have the tooth pulled, and he had to be strapped down to get it removed, which then made him not want to go to the dentist for the next 5 years.
Right.
So it's very important for us to, keep up with that when they're young and when they're older.
Right.
Yeah. So I have a toothbrushing question. What type of toothbrush do you use?
So we're able to use an electric. We introduced them early, and we use one with a small head. And so it can really get in there and not just kind of miss everything. And we just let the toothbrush do the work instead of scrubbing, and just take it, let it run slowly over. And then at the end, we have him finish up. After I know he's done a good job, then he finishes up, and he usually just kind of runs it over real quick on his front teeth. And sometimes I'll have him take a little bit longer, and then he rinses his toothbrush and puts it away.
Oh,
We just use a regular toothbrush, but I think the electric is a great idea to try.
And we and Nathan, Nathan can't spit either.
Zachary didn't spit.
So we have to be very careful.
Swallows.
Yeah. So and if he uses very much too, that he uses a scant amount. There's hardly any, and it has to be gel. Otherwise, he has a constant sore throat. And, but really the dentist said it's the motion that's what's most important.
Not what's on the toothbrush, technically.
Yeah. So we just put a little bit, and now we do use a little bit of like tartar control in the morning because he'll be drinking and stuff all day. So that kind of keeps it from sticking in his throat. But yeah, he had a constant cough. And that's a shout out to one of our direct care staff. She was the one that figured out why he would have this cough all the time.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Lisa found that out. Yeah.
Way to go, Lisa.
Yeah.
Anybody able to use a water pick at all?
We would have to use it on him, I guess. We do have a water pick.
I have one in my drawer too. It's for me, but I've never used it.
Yeah.
I know, mine's under the cabinet too.
I will say just a quick dentist is really about braces, because Zachary ended up having braces. And just connecting back to dignity again, his front teeth were in a horrible state, like meaning that any other kid without a disability would absolutely have braces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we were seeking someone, finding a person to do it, the actual first intake visit we had was kind of like, well, why? Why would you? Why would you put braces on? And I'm just like, well, and my question was, well, any other patient or kid, teenager, whatever that you see, would this be a case for braces? Absolutely. And I said, yeah, then Zachary's going to get braces. So unless we just can't do it, but we're going to do it.
So they were giving you like, what's the point attitude?
What's the point? Why would you do that? Why do we have to do that? It's like, well, I would like Zachary's teeth to be straight and him to have a nice smile. And I don't understand why. I mean, if there's no difference.
No.
There is no difference between someone who has a disability and someone who doesn't, and about appearance and hygiene and all that stuff, which I think is what we're, getting to. But we spent like 8 months. Finally, he agreed, and he said, well, let's do some welcome visits and that kind of thing. We did that for 7 or 8 months. And then finally I was like, I think we're done with these welcome visits. Let's get this show on the road.
Right.
But I still had to be the one to say, the time is now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're coming back next month, and we're going to put some stuff on his teeth.
Exactly.
Did they have to put him out, or did they?
No, he did really great.
Good.
He did.
Excellent.
Actually, the techs that he would see said he was one of the best patients they've ever had.
Really?
Like,
Right.
That's wonderful.
and now if he had a bunch of sensitivity, right? Like, like maybe if Nathan did or whatever, but he didn't seem to. Zachary has a high pain tolerance too, I would say. But he did great. Now we had YouTube. It took 2 people. So I say he did great, but he also had a tag team. Michael and I went to every appointment. Michael kind of held his hands, and I held the little phone so he could watch VeggieTales while they messed with his teeth.
Okay.
And that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
But no like shots or
Major
anesthesia or anything like that.
meltdowns or yelling.
No,
Yeah.
it all went really well.
Oh,
Took
good.
forever, but yeah.
How did he do when they tightened him and stuff?
It didn't seem to
affect
bother him.
him.
I mean, a few times I would give him, Motrin or something like that. But kind of like to Zion's, the story with Zion, there's no way for me to know if his teeth would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And this may sound weird, but like I don't like to give him medicine either for just no reason. But if I could tell that it felt like, he wasn't himself or whatever, I would definitely give him Motrin in that case. But
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if the doctor recommends. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
For sure.
And I will say, my son, who's 32, almost 32, he had braces, and he was such a rule follower. He did great with them. I mean, I was thinking, oh my gosh, like this is going to be, a mountain to climb. But he would, no, I'm turning them. I'm doing everything, and same thing. Like his orthodontist, wow, this is great. Like he's like, you told him to do it, so he's going to do it because he's just a rule follower, and a lot of our kids are. But I will say, when they first laid him down in the chair, I was in the waiting room, and I heard, "What in the world?" Like he yelled through the whole, and I'm just reading my book, thinking this is going to be a nice queen. Oh, okay. And everyone looks up. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm just gonna let him handle it because that was only. But anyway, overall about hygiene. So I don't know if anyone else has anything to add, but I will say this, that in our autism world, we run across a lot of parents, and there are some parents out there, or caregivers or grandparents, that think we should accept autistic children and their poor hygiene, that, they have sensory issues to the water hitting them, or to soap, or to smells of the shampoo, and that's why their hair is dirty. And we all here in this podcast agree that hygiene equals dignity. And, we all find that not acceptable. So, if you're having trouble on that road, it is possible to get over those sensory issues. And like you said, Heather, what's the point of fixing a child with autism's teeth? That I think some people have that mindset. And I do think that kind of goes back. Maybe if you can help me with that. I think we are all told that we have stages of grief when you have a child with autism, just like death. We all go through stages. And I think, I remember hearing that. I thought, no way. But it's true, isn't it? But I think that a lot of them are in that denial stage, because we've run across some parents that, well, if they should have a job, they should accept them at their place of employment because they have autism. That's why your hair is dirty. When just getting that through to people, that it's, this is your child and that they're out in the public, that let's make them presentable and clean, and, that affects their world,
and
basically.
Those cultural norms are,
cultural norms, that's a good
strong.
word for it.
Yes. So it's, if you can kind of fit into those.
Yeah. And I also think that, sorry, Elizabeth, that I was just thinking, I just want to make it the easiest possible, the best world for him, and the easiest way for him to make friends.
Right.
I want all those barriers to be the lowest that they can be, so that, when he does meet someone for the first time, and he smells good, and he's, shaved, and his teeth are clean, and and he's presentable, that they will want to dig down and see what he's all about, because he's so cool.
Right.
Right. When he is looking spiffy, and because we've worked on that, and not all the time he does, but I want to give him the best chance that he has.
Right. Right. And being presentable, and
because the world does. We all wish that it didn't, but the world does look at you, and it's your first presentation.
That's right.
So, exactly. And that's for everybody. That's not just for our kids with autism or disabilities or anything like that. That your first presentation is what you're going to get some judgment on. Right. So,
and I think if you need to assist, obviously with Zachary's, obviously we've got to do the whole thing, but I think the plan too might be, if you feel like you're a little bit in denial as a parent, that maybe there's at least maybe work on it with a professional, because I know an OT is a great resource, obviously, and we still ask at 22 questions about, okay, he's doing this and he's doing that. What could we do to help with that? And like I say, he's working on brushing his teeth right now. So just because I'm brushing his teeth every day because it's a necessity does not mean that will eventually not change.
True.
I think, or if your adult doesn't understand the why, maybe that's the key. And so maybe you have supports set up so that they understand the why of, I can do it. So now tell me why it's important, and somehow making that connection. I don't know exactly how to do it, but just kind of having those goals.
Mm-hmm. And we have a routine. Nathan, he, from when he was little, he takes a bath before he leaves the house. That's his, we kind of settled into that, just, going through our daily routines. And unless he, if he wants to go somewhere, he demands, he'll say, take a bath. And I know over the years, we might be in a hurry or need to get out, and he's slept in, and we're like, sisters or dad are like, do we really have to stop and give him a bath? And I said, yes, if we break that routine, I said, you sisters, you're going to be gone when he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to fight a 45-year-old man to get in the bathtub.
Right.
So that is part of our routine. So, I mean, maybe twice a year we get out of the house, without a bath because maybe it's super early or, and we can really talk him into it. But I mean, we've taken a bath at 5:30 in the morning, getting ready to go on a big trip because he's just got to get in real quick. And that's something that, we've decided that's important. We prioritize that so that we don't have to worry about that. So that's some of the decisions that our families have to make. So when I'm late to everything and, things are going on, I hope that people kind of, they understand there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And we've also had, with Chase, he participated in wrestling. So, it's a fully inclusive program, that in the coach, he was that extended support. And he told all the boys, after you've been on this wrestling mat, you go home and you take a shower, and he explains to them. And he did that for years and years. So yeah, Chase is really great at taking a shower. He's just, and he does his at night and learned. And so, but yeah, when it's a day off of school or not going anywhere, yeah, he loves that. So
That's awesome.
I can say you really need to be explicit on exactly what to wash.
Yes.
And only because my mom didn't explain a lot of stuff to me when I was younger. I am so blunt with my kids. And you can't really, I can hint around with Hannah and Caleb, but you just have to tell Zion straight out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, you smell, you need to go take a shower. You can't just say, hey, do you think you need to take a shower?
Right.
I'm sorry, it doesn't work with him. You just have to say, you need to go take a shower, and you need to put 2 squirts of shampoo on your hand, shampoo on your hand, and you need to scrub it for 1 minute straight. You have to be very, very
Specific.
specific.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I think that's across the board with everything being specific.
right.
People aren't going to talk to you if you have bad breath. They're going to back away. They're going to think, ooh, that guy doesn't brush his teeth. I always have to model what people are thinking. Oh, they'll think that? Yes, they will think that. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think being kind of hard and specific is part of the game here. And I've done that with him. And on the flip side of that, our dentist said our son, I'm married, by the way, that he was brushing too much, too hard, brushing the enamel off. I'm like,
I do that.
you can't win for losing. Sometimes it's, too much. And so tell him to brush softer and get a soft toothbrush. And he was brushing for too long. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I still actually remind him, are you still not doing it as much? And yes, I'm fine, Mom. But, and just the obsessive, that's another thing with a lot of our kids. Brush too much, they wash their hands too much, they shower too much, there's a flip side of that. What is it called? Obsessive compulsive disorder. We do see a lot of that in autism, correct? I mean,
Yes, we do.
I have friends that have that. So that's the other side of it. But hygiene can also go, Kara told me that it's okay to share this, even just hygiene with cleanliness. And her daughter's coat, I think, was really filthy and smelly, and having to remind her to, even our coats need to be washed. And, that's part of hygiene, going out and you don't want people to look at your coat and it has dog hair all over it and it hasn't been to throw them into the washing machine. So it's just constant with hygiene. But I do think that, I think the sensory issues play a lot of part. Don't you guys think that with disabilities, that they're just the sensory issues of the hot water, the cold water, the smell? I don't know if anyone else ran into that, Cynthia or Dawn, with your kids or our adult children, I should say.
The sensory issues that
with hygiene.
That come to mind is hair cuttings.
Oh, yes, the haircuts.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That's a big one in the autism world, by the way.
It is. And I have pictures of JR when he's in early childhood special ed. And I know they thought I was a bad mom, and I probably was a bad mom in the haircutting regards, because
You're too hard on yourself sometimes.
maybe.
Yeah.
It was World War III once.
Oh,
And
sure.
I mean, it was, it's up there in the top 10 of worst moments I've ever had with my child in public.
Mhm.
And so I understand why I didn't want to take him to get his hair cut. But I think, again, listening to this podcast, being reminded, yes, this is something I do need to work on with my son. He doesn't have that problem anymore. But if I had listened to this podcast, back then, I might have said, okay, you're getting judged because his hair's too long. And it was too long. It's worth finding a process or a routine. Listen to other moms. What do they do? There's help out there. And I know there's even books, on the topic. So if you want to go Future Horizons, or I can't pull a topic, a book title off the top of my head, but there are books. Ask other parents, get suggestions.
Stories.
Yeah.
Social stories, right?
Visual aids. We've used
Yes.
the visual, not
True.
visual schedule, but visual picture of the 5 parts of brushing your teeth.
Mhm.
We had those
True.
up for many years
Mhm.
in our house.
Yeah,
Just for
Yeah, the dentist gives you that
Hoping.
too, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
son had it on his mirror. Like, I just remembered that. Yeah.
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 Timers,
Set a timer a lot.
yeah.
on
Schedules. Mm-hmm.
I know Autism Speaks had all those toolkits, the dentist toolkits,
Yep, still there. Yeah.
the haircuts, all that. You might look on.
Mm-hmm.
That was many years ago that I
True.
looked that up, but
Yeah, they're still there.
Elizabeth
They're
says they're
still
still there. So
And
Cynthia, what
Eric,
about
we
you?
always we went to a lady that was our neighbor, so we loved her, so he would always willingly go to get his hair cut. And he moved 40 miles away from her, and he still goes back to her for his haircut.
Oh,
I
you're
love
kidding.
that.
Oh, that's sweet.
that's really sweet.
That's
Well,
sweet.
the first person who cut, well, not the first person, but again, he's in early child special ed. The para was a beautician who had changed careers. So she came to me and said, I'll try cutting his hair at school. Is that okay with you? Or after hours? Sure.
That's great.
Took her an hour. And she didn't tell me this until much later. She cut herself in that hour.
Oh.
JR was
no.
Oh.
okay. So it took her an hour. So Dusty, I know she'll give me permission to use her name. Dusty came to our house for years to cut JR's hair.
That's awesome.
And so, again, being cheap, it's like, okay, cut the whole family. So to make it worth her while,
Yeah.
And
Makes
again,
sense.
you felt sort of, and so, I mean, she just left us like 2 years ago.
Did she?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Moved, and so
That's building
that's
that.
awesome.
That's that other podcast on building a support
Community, yeah.
But
community.
as far as motivation, when we decided to try competitive employment again and leave SWI, JR's hair again was very long, not very becoming, and finally convinced him that as part of the job interview process, he had to get his
Right.
hair cut. And so my daughter took him. He went in by himself, got it cut, paid for him, and came out. Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
So
awesome.
sometimes you get freebies from God,
True.
and that was one of them.
True.
That part of hygiene and employment, that's huge. And that's part of understanding. And that there are a lot of different types of aids, visual aids, assistive technology, all the timers and different things. But there is one story I had run across through work, learning more about assistive technology, is this young man who was struggling with his hygiene and work, was at risk of losing his job, used a piece of assistive technology to help him maintain that employment, because what he did was they set him up with an alarm clock that had the voice alarm, and that alarm was his girlfriend waking him up. So her voice in the morning, he would wake up to, said, "Honey, I need you to get up in time to go take a shower, because I'm going to see you after work. And if you stink, I don't want to see you. So after that, his motivation was found. He used that piece of technology to find success and being able to get up in time and get moving, and was able to keep his job and his girlfriend.
Oh,
There you go.
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Tells you how important it is.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask was Cynthia is, how is Eric handling the hygiene of the baby?
Oh, good question.
Oh, he's doing well with it. I mean, like he has to he changes her diaper and uses the whatever it is, the lotion on her and stuff, and uses the wipes, and he's doing really well with it. And they give her baths, and he has a certain part of the bath that he does, and then Catherine has another part of the bath that she does.
Oh.
So it's really worked out well, actually.
That's
So
teamwork.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Did he have, when he was young, sensitivities in the hand? With
Yes,
his
he
hands?
did. He did. And it was hard to get him to do all that, but we just stayed on him all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I would wash it for him or brush his teeth for him for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Until he
remember
was used
JR
to it.
would not touch Play-Doh
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
as a young kid.
Right. Right.
Zion loved Play-Doh. I mean, he would rub it all over his face. And
Is that the hypo?
Maybe
something
so.
sensitivity?
But he's hypo and JR is hyper.
Yeah. But I think that the hygiene equals dignity and with employment. And as they get older, I think it just becomes more and more important, because when they're a little kid, it's easy to just wipe off their face or jump in the bath. But it's important. I actually feel sad when I see people with disabilities that are adults out there and they're not clean and they're unkept. And I always think, who's taking care of them? Who's in charge of them? Who's helping them? So if you're out there, there is help out there, Elizabeth, right? I mean, even as an advocate and service coordinators
Yeah,
should be helping, right?
Yeah,
With that.
right. I mean, from the therapist, the OT, to individualized skill development, different types of services. And even those that really struggle, there's, possibly ABA therapy. I mean, there's a lot of different supports. And then looking at assistive technology, whether it's the old faithful bottom buddy to help reach around and wipe, and there's all.
There are tools, I guess you would say.
If there is something, so assistive technology.
Bottom buddy?
Yes. Yep. You put your toilet paper in a little slit, and it's a long handled thing, and you just reach around back, and then you can touch a button, and it drops toilet paper into the. But somebody that it's light to the touch. I mean, that's not going to work. But if it's a mobility issue or maybe a sensory issue, not thinking, that's icky. There are different types of tools. I mean, there's all different types of toileting supports, showering supports from, like you said, Tara, about 2 squirts of, there's all sorts of things where it can be measured out, or it can be allowed to, 1 full squirt, and just all sorts of different things. So I'm going to put some links to that assistive technology on our website.
Pictures.
Yeah,
I know.
I got pictures.
Okay.
But
I wonder if our kids would use a bidet.
Oh,
I wonder.
yeah.
Heather has something.
So we just redid Zachary's bathroom. It's the main bathroom, but it's the one right by his bedroom. And we did put a bidet in there.
Did you?
And
Oh,
hose. No, we haven't got him to, we haven't educated very much on that, so it hasn't helped yet. But we did want to make sure we put an ADA compliant toilet in the bathroom, just for the height level and stuff. I know that for just comfort and motor planning and stuff, we did that, and then put the bidet. So that's something. Because one thing that we haven't, I guess, touched on yet is just the vulnerability that comes with and then that goes back to trust with staff and stuff for someone like Zachary. So we get a lot of no's to things because of the assistance with toileting. So I know we've talked about before, some other programs and stuff that said, Zachary wouldn't be welcome there because he needed assistance. That's the other thing too. When we're trying to find staff, they have to be comfortable doing that. And that's, it's hard to find people that are comfortable doing that. It's no big deal to me. I've been doing it the whole time that, we've had Zachary, but, that's a dignity thing too, that while it's difficult and hard to find people, it is important. And so I will say that some good advice that a behavioral therapist had given us just in the last 5 years was just, not that we weren't working on him trying to like maybe learn parts of the shower routine himself or whatever, but it also comes down to the vulnerability. And when your parents aren't doing it, like me and Michael are the only ones. There's only, my parents have been trained, and literally we had a training. They came to our house and we trained them on how to give Zachary a shower. So, but we wouldn't let anyone else do that part.
Right.
So, there's a vulnerability that comes with that. And we just have to make sure that there's just ultimate trust, obviously, when you're dealing with, those kind of intimate hygiene situations, I guess you would call them. Mm-hmm. But if there's anything we would wish he could do, it's those things because of that,
Right.
So I do really hope he could give himself a shower and clean himself up after toileting at some point, and with the assistive like wands and different things, like that's what we're kind of talking about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just the vulnerability piece too, I think is important.
Right.
Dignity, vulnerability. There's lots of big things that kind of hit with hygiene, I think.
It's funny too. You practice and practice, and it's funny. Nathan, will not lift the seat, but he will, if he gets anything on it, he will wipe it for the girls. Too many girls have screamed after they've gone into the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Does he not get that, or does he think, yeah, I'm not putting my hands on that, because that's because he's learned, to me, a much harder task to remember, to get the toilet paper, to wipe the seat, make sure there's nothing wet on that for his sisters or his mom who will be coming in after. So it's really interesting. So again, respecting him, because I finally just let it go. He was cleaning up after himself, but I could not convince him. And I thought, well, maybe he just, thinks that's yucky, and he didn't want to touch.
You're right.
And so we got to the point where I respected that. He respected me enough to wipe up after himself. So I respected his choice not to lift, to lift the seat.
So. Right. Anything else on hygiene?
Fun stuff. It's just also fun.
It is all fun.
We mostly all have boys, though. I wonder about girl hygiene, but
right. Well,
that might be
care.
Yeah, the girl I was talking about earlier. I think there was a girl that. Sorry, I didn't interrupt. She was the one that didn't really want to shower, or didn't think it was important to take a shower before going to work or finding employment.
Right.
That's the only girl I have come across with that, and I do think it's. Everyone's at a different road in their life, and what to push, what not to push. But hygiene is up there with one of the top 5
So,
important things.
Yeah, with my oldest is a girl, but she.
True.
As she got older, she didn't need a lot of that type of support. But yeah, we had, it's just different body parts and, different places to shave. And, so we just, a lot of it was kind of the same,
How'd that go?
Really, really
Pretty
well.
easy?
Yeah, pretty easy. The hardest was, teaching about menstrual cycles.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was, that was a little harder. But it's still, really, and just keeping, like, I think it was you, Cynthia, just, keeping going, keeping the reminders, and just really, and I think with girls, I think the biggest thing was making sure that, the clothes, keeping clean clothes, on. That was just for some reason, was a little bit more of a struggle, and I think that, I don't know why that was, of course we had a couple of favorite things, just like Kara with the coat, it was not identifying that that clothing was dirty.
Yeah, just the self-awareness that it wasn't. Yeah. And I think even with my son, in his apartment, when he cooks something smelly and he puts his coat on the chair, and he gets in the car, I'm like, okay, you smell like steak, or, if you leave clothes out, that smell lingers, just, teaching. And that's a typical kid too, I guess. But I think a typical neurotypical kid would probably smell it and go, oh, I can't wear this today. I don't, I don't think our, for the most part they would. But just teach him, please hang your clothes up in the closet if you're going to cook, you know, or something in a frying pan or whatever. But I know that seems minute to you,
Oh,
Heather.
no,
or
it's
to-
all important.
But
No,
it's all,
it is.
Because I can connect with you on that. Because Nathan, whenever he takes his socks off, will not let them go into the laundry. He'll go dig them out. He'll find them and he'll put them back fold them up into the little ball,
Oh.
and he'll stick them back in his drawer. And then if he sees us pulling them out, you know, no, it's got to go back in here. You know, these are my socks.
Right.
So. And we gotta get him out of the house for a couple hours and just
Forget
because
about the socks.
I smell his socks before we put them on,
Oh,
and I'd
see,
like
there
to
you
dig
go.
down and find some other ones because if for some reason that's
right. Yeah.
it doesn't bother him.
Right.
So
Now, Kara did have a few things to add about females, and she said, like, when you have a daughter, you know, they have to pluck their eyebrows, and when they have a bikini on to do and she just said the word,
Yes.
you know, shave the pube.
That was Kara's.
That was Kara. I said, okay, I'll
We
say
won't
it.
lose the G rating.
But I do have a friend in Kansas City, and they don't mind me talking about this. And their daughter's 20, and she's nonverbal. And that was, and they do still bathe her. Her parents both bathe her, and then when she did start her periods, it was very difficult.
Oh, I bet.
And then they finally moved into a bigger house, and so she sent me a text about 6 months ago, and she said she put Haley's pads in there so she could have her own pads in her bedroom. Then the next morning she went in, and the pads were everywhere. They're just torn up, and she goes,
Oh, gosh.
"That was a mistake." But just this is different.
Live and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think kudos to you, Heather, and
I do
Elizabeth, and your
too.
friend, to all those profound and lower functioning, because, you know, not only is it difficult, it's time consuming, you know, out of your day. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of planning. And I just feel for you. And that's why another reason we're doing the podcast, right? To inform and support and help. And is there anything else you guys can think of advice wise for parents out there that are struggling or maybe giving up on not worrying about if they wash their hair or take a shower?
yeah.
What do you think?
Because we have stressed that, but sometimes you only do what you can do. You know, if you rather than miss therapy or rather than miss an activity and having that opportunity, if their hair is not washed, it's okay. Because again, that happens with our other kids, and there are things to strive for, but to be gracious with ourselves, and that sometimes it's not going to happen. And then and enjoy the little things. When thinking about hygiene, I just remembered, of course, I've told you Nathan's been a fan of baths his whole life. And we went through the rubber ducky phase, right? And so he loved his rubber duckies, but I had to put them up after every bath because otherwise they would find their way to another body of water. The toilet.
Oh, no.
I would walk in
pond.
and I'd go in and I'd lift the toilet, and I was like, who forgot to put the ducks up? They'd just be floating in the toilet. So, we have to laugh. We have to, we have to laugh and remember, those things, because at the time, it wasn't that funny, but it's one of those moments that I wouldn't trade. Lifting that lid up and going,
Right.
how many ducks did we lose today?
Well, I do know that people put floaty things in the toilet to get their boys to put the stream in the toilet, the target. So I was like, I thought maybe that it was a double use.
And like Michael does a lot of stuff, like he'll clip, like we didn't talk about, like clipping toenails, and fingernails,
right.
shaving his face, because that's the one thing I'm too scared. I'm not going to use a blade on that child's face. I can't do it. I mean, he's my child. He's 22, but he's still my child.
Right.
And I do not want to, prick his face because I don't, shave my face.
Electric razor.
Just so everyone knows. Anyway, but I just say, hey, Dad, it's time for some spa time. And so we just kind of, it's just light and airy. Did we have like lots of emotions about, oh my gosh, what if we have to shave his face when he's a man? And absolutely you do. Absolutely you do. Mm-hmm. But you just have to, just time takes its, I don't know. Elizabeth, you might have something eloquent to say about that, but I'm just saying time goes by, and by the time you get to that point, you are mentally
okay with it,
prepared for
yeah.
that. Right.
Yeah,
And you would rather do it and help them than certainly than, not to have it go undone. So, so it's just part of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's a good time too, Heather, to talk about your page again on Facebook. Zachary.
Oh, yeah. So we have a page that we just started this year called Everyday Adventures with Zachary. And the point of it is just, it's to silence the stigma of disability that surrounds adults with disabilities a lot of the times, and just hoping to increase knowledge. It's more of an educational page, just specifically around, what is a person like Zachary up to? What do they do? What are the issues? What are the wins? That kind of stuff, so that people just have more knowledge about Zachary and other people like him.
I think it helps families that are just starting on their journey too.
Yeah.
Right.
You've made it, and it's, you look at your page and it's a beautiful life.
We're surviving, yeah.
I mean,
More than that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks different. It looks different for all of us. Yeah, Terry, you said you use electric. We use electric razor too, but Nathan will get that. If I hand it to him, it goes right to the lips.
Really?
Oh gosh.
Oh, wow.
Look at it, no.
Well, I do have a daughter who does Zion's eyebrows because Zion has crazy eyebrows. So I do help him with his with the electric razor, but Hannah does his eyebrows. Isn't that funny?
It takes a village.
It does take a village. That's for sure.
Oh gosh. Okay, Tara, where can everybody find us?
We are found on Facebook. I'm going to look up at the ceiling so I can remember all this. Facebook and Instagram at Navigating Adult Autism Podcast. And we are on Apple and Spotify and on our website, navigatingadultautism.com. You can look up Navigating Adult Autism as on Apple and Spotify. And our email address is moms@navigatingadultautism.com. And please go and like and subscribe and listen and follow and review. Just do it all.
Right. Okay, thank you for listening about hygiene on Navigating Adult Autism. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.